answer. Will you describe your convention experience in one word, and will you repeat back the question? If I were to describe my convention experience in one word, it would be?
If I were to describe my convention experience in one word, it would be organized chaos. I think that's 2 words, but probably a compound word. I'll leave it at that. It seemed like there was a lot going on, but ultimately everything sort of came together amazingly. Tons of stuff running around, and it's pretty incredible that it actually worked out kind of on schedule and that sort of thing.
Richie, how have your feelings about the Republican Party changed after the course of this convention?
Well, it's been very interesting to watch the party change with Donald Trump, and I'm excited to see what comes next. He does not follow Republican orthodoxy on a lot of things, social issues, foreign policy, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
What was the highlight of the trip?
I definitely think the highlight of the trip was breakfast with Eric Trump. It was great to see Trump HQ, to meet up with a fellow Hoya, and obviously someone that has been such an integral part of the race thus far.
The most surprising thing I learned during this convention was how there have been so many different takes on Republicanism, conservatism. I think everyone goes into this with a vision of what that means and a vision of what that means for themselves and for others. But it's interesting to see the way that all those different visions collide and interact, and I think that that's going to be an interesting thing for the party, especially in the future, to reconcile within itself in order to maintain control and support from everyone.
My biggest takeaway from this convention is how limpid it was. I think the convention is supposed to be about bringing the party together, but it seemed so transparent. Clearly in the rhetoric of certain speakers, there was a different direction being hinted at, and there was no real sense of unity, any sense of togetherness that was conveyed during the convention seemed pretty disingenuous.
Look back on this trip in 20 years, what do you think you'll remember most?
If I look back on this trip in 20 years, the thing I'm going to most remember is the time where the Republican Party took a huge turn. Because we've seen Donald Trump bring about the rise of populism within the party, but also a good number of speakers talked about LGBTQ rights, equal pay for women, and a lot of other progressive issues. And I think just the chaos of this convention is going to be a turning point for our party.
Something that I never would have thought I would hear myself saying was that I would come out of this trip with a quiet sense of optimism, saying that my peers and I and a lot of other young people who are growing up and are going through college right now are seeing a very divisive system, are seeing a lack of unity, and that's something that I think is going to make a lot of people excited to get into the political arena and change and bring a lot of good back into public service.
What I learned from being here at the RNC was how much potential it has, how much potential the Republican Party has. This election, it's not really representative of Republicans with Trump being the presidential nominee, but if the Republican Party were to push inclusivity of people within the party, I think that it definitely has great potential.
Being one of the few Democrats and liberals at this convention was very difficult, at least for me. So hearing things like build a wall or lock her up was not discourse that I think is really appropriate in any sort of political arena. And experiencing those things live and seeing people with so much hatred in their hearts, and I know it's something that I don't agree with, but I know it's something my peers on the right and left don't agree with. So I think to that end it was very difficult. But overall, I came out of this learning a lot more about conservatism and about my Republican classmates and my fellow voters.
And one last takeaway, how awesome our 2 leaders were on this trip. Big shout out.